A young woman woke up trapped in the wreckage of a destroyed car, alone on a deserted road, feeling her life slipping away with each passing second, drunk, lost, hopeless. But then she felt a presence. She remembered her mother, who, despite being a humble person, always had great faith, and so she did something she never thought she would do. She prayed. And what happened in the following minutes can be considered a miracle. A man who never passed by that road was guided there. He saved her from death. But the miracle didn't stop there. What began as an impossible rescue turned into something more improbable than you've ever heard. Get ready, because this journey of faith, redemption, miracle, and destiny will move you from beginning to end. So subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment on where you're watching from. And let's get to the story. Dawn was falling heavily on that forgotten road in the Colorado countryside. It was almost 3 a.m. and there wasn't a soul around. Only the cold wind cutting through the pine trees and the cracked asphalt snaking down the mountain. It was there, in that solitary spot, that Jenna Harper's life nearly came to an end. She was 23, with messy brown hair and tired green eyes, weary from so many meaningless nights. She'd come from a party in Boulder, one of those that start lively and end empty. He'd drunk too much, as always. He laughed loudly, danced, pretended to be fine. But inside, Jenna had been lost for a long time. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know who I really was. I only knew I needed to get out of there and go home before the sun rose and reality knocked on the door again. She got into the car, feeling a little dizzy, started the engine, and put on some loud music to ward off the silence. The road was empty, dark, treacherous. Jenna blinked her heavy eyes once, twice, and on the third time, she lost everything. The car left the road, skidded on the gravel shoulder, spun violently, and crashed head-on into a thick tree. The impact was brutal. The noise echoed through the mountains like a scream of shattered metal and glass. When she came to, she didn't know how much time had passed. Seconds. Minutes. The windshield was shattered. The steering wheel pressed against her chest. The driver's side door completely crumpled. Warm blood trickled down her left arm, soaking the seat. She tried to move, but the pain was so intense that a groan escaped her throat. She was trapped. Completely trapped. The car's metal frame held her like a metal trap. Panic came quickly. Jenna tried to scream, but her voice came out weak, muffled. She looked around and saw only darkness. No headlights, no lights, no help. Her cell phone had flown somewhere she couldn't reach. The cold began to seep in through the broken glass, and she felt her body tremble. She didn't know if it was from pain, fear, or cold. I'm going to die here, she thought. I'm going to die alone on this road, and nobody will even know. It was at that moment, when despair gripped her chest tightly, that something strange happened. A presence, gentle, but real, as if someone had entered that wrecked car and placed their hand on her shoulder. Jenna didn't see anyone, but she felt it, and in that second of absolute silence, a memory flashed through her mind like lightning. Her mother, Margaret Harper, a simple woman of deep faith who had spent her whole life trying to show her daughter that God was real. Jenna grew up hearing that. God never abandons you, my daughter. Even when you think you're alone, He's there. But Jenna never believed it. She thought it was all beautiful, poetic, but unreal. If God exists, she used to ask, why are so many people suffering? Why is there so much pain in the world? The mother always replied patiently, because God gave us freedom, Jenna, and with freedom comes choice, and with choice comes consequence. But He never leaves us alone to face the consequences. Now, trapped in that car, bleeding, feeling her life slipping away, Jenna understood for the first time what her mother meant. She had made choices. She drank. She drove. She ignored the signs, and now she was there, reaping the consequences. But for the first time in years, she didn't want to be alone. Then, with a trembling voice and eyes filled with tears, Jenna did something she swore she would never do. She prayed. God, she whispered, almost ashamed. I don't know if you're there. I never really believed in that, But my mother always said that you can hear. So, if it's true, please, don't let me die here. Please, help me. Silence. Only the wind. Jenna closed her eyes, waiting. For nothing. But then, a few seconds later, maybe 10, maybe 20, she heard it. A voice. Distant, but clear. Is anyone there? Jenna's eyes widened. Her heart raced. Here! I'm here! She shouted with all the strength she still had. Quick footsteps. A cell phone flashlight cutting through the darkness. And then, a face appeared in the broken window. A young man, worried eyes, panting breath. Oh my God. You're alive. Stay calm. I'll get you out of there. That man was Ethan Cole, 27 years old, tall, broad-shouldered, with a short beard. He had kind brown eyes and a calm demeanor that put anyone at ease. He worked as a civil engineer in a small town about 40 minutes away. But that night, he shouldn't have been on that road. Ethan was returning from a church missionary retreat in Denver. Normally, he took the main highway, faster, better lit, safer. But that morning, as he was about to enter the highway, he felt something strange, a tightness in his chest, an inner voice that wasn't his own. Go by the old road. Ethan frowned. It didn't make sense. The old road was longer, darker, and full of curves, but the feeling didn't go away. It lingered, persistent, as if someone were whispering in his ear. So, against all logic, Ethan turned the steering wheel and took the road he never took, and that's how he met Jenna. Now, kneeling beside the wrecked car, Ethan assessed the situation. The door was locked, too crushed to open. He tried to pull, to force, but it wouldn't work. He looked at Jenna, who was pale and trembling. "Can you move?" he asked, keeping his voice steady. I'm trapped. I can't get out." Ethan took a deep breath. "Okay, I'll get you out of there, trust me." He ran to his car, grabbed a metal bar he kept in the trunk, the kind used for changing tires, and went back. With strength and care, he began to force the door open. The metal groaned and creaked until it finally gave way. Ethan threw the bar aside, got into the car through the open door, and gently began to free Jenna from the wreckage. "It's going to hurt a little, but I need to move you, okay?" Jenna nodded, biting her lip. Ethan held her by the shoulders, pulled slowly, and finally managed to free her. She almost fainted from the pain, but he held her firmly, put her arm around his own neck, and carried her to his car. "Stay with me," Ethan said, looking into her eyes. "Don't fall asleep, okay? Stay awake. I'm taking you to the hospital now." Jenna shook her head, but her vision was blurring. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was the stranger's face, and the strange certainty that he wasn't a real stranger. It was an answer. Ethan drove like crazy, calling 911 and explaining the situation. He arrived at Grand Junction Hospital in record time. Doctors rushed over, stretcher, urgent care. He stayed there, in the waiting room. Even though he didn't know Jenna, he stayed because something inside him told him he needed to stay. 3 hours later, a nurse came out and said Jenna was stable. Fractured arm, deep cuts, minor trauma, but alive, very much alive. Ethan sighed in relief, leaned his head against the wall, and closed his eyes. "Thank you, God," he murmured. "I thank you for bringing me to her." When Jenna opened her eyes, the first thing she felt was the bright hospital light hitting her face. She blinked several times, trying to understand where she was. Her head throbbed, her arm was in a cast, and there were tubes connected to her. But she was alive, breathing, feeling. A nurse entered the room and smiled when she saw her awake. "Welcome back, dear. You were very lucky." "Luck?" Jenna murmured, her voice hoarse. "If that boy hadn't found you, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation." The nurse adjusted the pillow. "He's still here, in the waiting room. He stayed all night." Jenna frowned, confused. "Who?" "The man who brought you here. Ethan. I think that's his name." Jenna's heart tightened. She vaguely remembered his face, his calm voice, his worried eyes. She remembered screaming for help, and someone appearing, as if out of nowhere. He can come in?" Jenna asked, almost afraid of the answer. The nurse nodded and left. A few minutes later, Ethan entered the room. He looked tired, red eyes, unshaven, clothes rumpled, but he smiled when he saw Jenna awake. "Hi," he said, standing near the door as if he didn't want to invade her space. "Hi," Jenna replied, and then the tears came. She couldn't hold them back. You saved me." Ethan approached slowly, pulled up a chair, and sat down beside the bed. "I just got there. But the one who truly saved you was God." Jenna looked at him, surprised. It wasn't the kind of response she expected. Most people would have said it was nothing, or anyone would have done the same. But he said, "God, do you believe that?" she asked, wiping away her tears with her good hand. "I believe so. Absolutely." Ethan leaned forward, his eyes sincere. "Jenna, I never go down that road. Never. But last night, something told me to go that way. I couldn't ignore it. It was like someone was guiding me. And when I found you," he paused, emotional. "I knew that was why. God put me there at that exact moment. To find you." Jenna remained silent, processing. Part of her wanted to doubt it, to say it was coincidence, luck, chance. But the other part, the part that had prayed seconds before he appeared, knew it hadn't been chance at all. "I prayed," she confessed, almost ashamed. "Before you arrived. I never do that, you know? I never believed in God. My mother always tried to convince me, but I thought it was all an illusion. But there, in that car, I was dying, and I prayed, and you appeared." Ethan smiled, and it was a gentle, non-judgmental smile. "He listens, Jenna. He always listens. Even when we doubt, he's there." The two talked for hours. Ethan said he worked as an engineer, that he grew up in a Christian family, that he had gone through difficult times in life but had always found strength in his faith. He recounted that he had lost his father at the age of 19 in a work accident, and that it was faith that held him up when he thought he was going to collapse. Jenna, in turn, opened her heart in a way she never had with anyone before. She spoke about her empty life, the meaningless parties, the emptiness she carried inside. She talked about her mother, Margaret, who always tried to show her the way, but whom Jenna always ignored. "I grew up hearing that God was love, that he had a plan, but I looked at the world and saw only pain. I saw people suffering, people dying, people lost, and I thought, if God exists, why does he let this happen?" Ethan listened attentively, taking his time to answer. When she finished, he took a deep breath and spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. "Jenna, God doesn't promise that life will be easy. He never promised the absence of pain. What he promises is presence. He promises that, no matter what happens, he will be there with us. And you know, pain is part of freedom. God gave us free will. We choose, and sometimes, choices bring consequences. But even in the consequences, he doesn't abandon us. He offers a fresh start. He offers grace. He offers a new chance." Those words sank deep into Jenna's heart. She had never thought of it that way. She always thought that if God existed, he would be like a magician who fixed everything. But Ethan was saying something else. He was saying that God doesn't take away the pain, but walks with us through it. "And you think," Jenna asked hesitantly, "that God was with me in that car, even though I never believed in him?" "I'm sure of it," Ethan replied firmly. "And I think that whoever he was saving on that road wasn't just your body, Jenna. It was your whole life. He gave you a second chance. The question is, what are you going to do with it?" Jenna didn't know the answer right away, but that question kept echoing in her head for days. Doctors released Jenna 3 days later. She returned home, a small apartment in Boulder that she shared with a friend. But something had changed. She couldn't stop thinking about the accident, about the fear, about the prayer, about the miracle, and about Ethan. Before she left the hospital, he had given her his number. If you need anything, call me. Seriously. Jenna treasured the number as if it were a precious possession. In the following days, she called her mother. Margaret almost fainted when she heard about the accident. She cried, thanked God, and rushed to visit her daughter. When she arrived, she hugged Jenna for long minutes, without saying anything, just feeling. "I almost lost you," Margaret whispered, tears wetting her daughter's shoulder. "I know, Mom. I know." Jenna stepped back a little and looked into her mother's eyes. "But I think God didn't let me. I think He saved me." Margaret's eyes widened in surprise. She had never heard her daughter speak like that. You believe me now?" "I don't know," Jenna replied honestly. "But I want to understand. I want to know more, and that's how it all began." Ethan kept in touch. He would text her, asking how she was if she needed anything. Even though he worked a lot, sometimes up to 12 hours a day, he always found time to talk to her. And Jenna looked forward to those messages as if they were the best part of the day. 2 weeks after the accident, Ethan called. "Hi, Jenna, how are you?" "Hi, Ethan, I'm fine. Yes, my arm still hurts a little, but I'm recovering." "That's great." He paused, as if gathering courage. "Look, I wanted to invite you. You don't have to accept if you don't want to, but there's a service at my church on Sunday. It's a small, very quiet church, you know. Simple people, good music, a nice message. I thought maybe you'd like to go, just to see it." Jenna was silent for a few seconds. The idea of going to a church made her nervous. But at the same time, she wanted to. She wanted to understand what Ethan felt. She wanted to feel that presence she had felt in the car. "I'll go," she said, before fear got the better of her. "Seriously?" Ethan seemed surprised, but happy. "That's great. I'll come pick you up then. 9 in the morning, is that okay?" "It's okay." On Sunday, Jenna woke up early, nervous. She chose a simple outfit, jeans and a light-colored blouse, and waited by the window until she saw Ethan's car park in front of the building. When she entered the church, she didn't know what to expect. But what she found was acceptance. People smiling, greeting her, asking if she was new. No one judged her. No one pressured her. They simply welcomed her. During the service, Jenna felt something familiar. It was that same presence from the accident. Gentle, warm, real. The music resonated deeply. The message spoke of new beginnings, of grace, of how God never gives up on us. And when it ended, Jenna had tears in her eyes. "So," Ethan asked on the way back, "what did you think?" I liked it," Jenna replied sincerely. "I felt something inside. I can't really explain it, but it was good." Ethan smiled. "It's God, Jenna. He's calling you, and you're listening." From that day on, Jenna started going to church every Sunday, and always with Ethan. They became close friends. They talked about everything, laughed together, prayed together. But over time, it began to transform into something bigger, something neither of them expected, but that they both felt growing, slowly, truly. 6 months had passed since that night on the road, and Jenna's life was completely different now. She had stopped drinking, left the parties behind, and started building something real, something with purpose. She continued working as a graphic designer, but now she saw the work differently. It wasn't just to pay the bills. It was to use the gifts God had given her. And Ethan, well, Ethan had become the most important person in her life. They saw each other almost every day, sometimes for lunch, other times just to walk in the park and talk about life. He introduced her to the church youth group, and Jenna made real friends, people who cared, who asked how she was doing, who prayed for her. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel alone, but there was something in the air. Something they both felt, but neither of them spoke about. A feeling that went beyond friendship. It was deeper, more real, more frightening too. One Friday night, Ethan invited Jenna to dinner at a small Italian restaurant right in the center of Grand Junction. She accepted, but her heart raced. There was something different about the invitation, about his tone of voice, about the way he said, "I need to talk to you about something." When they arrived at the restaurant, the table was decorated with candles, Soft music played in the background. Ethan pulled out the chair for her, and Jenna sat down, nervously. "Is everything all right?" she asked, trying to read his face. Ethan smiled, but it was a nervous smile. He fiddled with his napkin, looked at the table, and took a deep breath. "Jenna, I need to tell you something. And I don't know how you'll react, but I can't keep it to myself any longer." Jenna's heart nearly leaped out of her chest. "Speak, Ethan. You're making me worried." He finally looked into her eyes, and there was an intensity there that Jenna had never seen before. "Jenna, that night, when I met you on the road, I thought God had brought me to you just to save you, to get you out of that car. But now I understand it wasn't just that. He brought me to you because he knew we needed to meet. Not just that night, but for a lifetime." Jenna held her breath. Ethan continued, his voice trembling slightly. "I fell in love with you, Jenna, in a way I never imagined. And I'm not saying this lightly. I prayed about it. I asked God to show me if it was real. And everything I feel, everything I see when I look at you, tells me it is. That you are the person God prepared for me." Tears streamed down Jenna's face before she could hold them back. She put her hand to her mouth, trying to control her emotion. And then, her voice trembling, she replied, "Ethan, I fell in love with you too. From the beginning, I think. From the moment you appeared on that road. I didn't think you felt the same." Ethan stood up from his chair, went over to her and knelt beside the table. He took Jenna's hand, looked deep into her eyes and said, "I feel it, Jenna, and I want to spend the rest of my life showing you that. It wasn't a marriage proposal, not yet, but it was a promise, a declaration, and Jenna knew, deep in her heart, that it was real. It was God at work. It was the miracle she never knew she needed." The following months were the happiest of Jenna's life. She and Ethan dated with purpose. It wasn't just attraction, it wasn't just feelings. It was building something together. They talked about the future, about family, about faith. They prayed together. They studied the Bible together. And each day, their love grew stronger, firmer, more true. Jenna also reconnected with her mother. Margaret cried tears of joy every time she saw her daughter. "I always knew God had a plan for you, my daughter. I always knew. And look, he not only saved you, he gave you a new path, a new life." And it was true. Jenna barely recognized the person she had been before the accident. That lost, empty, drunk girl on a dark road no longer existed. In her place was a woman full of purpose, faith, and hope. A year and a half after the accident, on a sunny spring afternoon, Ethan drove Jenna to the road where it all began. They stopped exactly where the car had crashed. The tree was still there, bearing the marks of the impact. Jenna looked at that place and felt a tightness in her chest. But it wasn't sadness. It was gratitude. "It was here," she whispered. "It was," Ethan replied, holding her hand. "It was here that God changed everything." Then, to Jenna's surprise, Ethan knelt down. He took a small box out of his pocket. He opened it, and inside, gleaming in the sun, was a ring. "Jenna Harper, do you believe that God has a plan for each of us?" Jenna nodded, tears already streaming down her face. "I believe it too, and I believe that his plan for me has always been you. From that night when he brought me to this road, I knew you were special, and the more I get to know you, the more certain I am. Jenna, will you marry me? Will you build a life with me, with God at the center?" Jenna couldn't speak. She just nodded, sobbing, laughing, feeling. And when Ethan put the ring on her finger, they embraced there in that place that had been the end, but which was now the beginning of everything. The wedding took place 6 months later in a simple and beautiful ceremony at the church Jenna had attended for the first time. Her mother was in the front row, crying tears of joy. Friends of Ethan and Jenna filled the place with love and praise. And when the pastor asked, "Do you take Ethan Cole to be your husband?" Jenna replied with the firmest voice she had ever had, "Yes, I do." And when they kissed and sealing their union, Jenna looked into Ethan's eyes and saw everything she needed to see: love, faith, purpose, a future. The life they built together wasn't perfect. They faced challenges, difficult times, and arguments, but they never gave up. Because they knew that God had brought them together, and what God unites, nothing can separate. Jenna spoke to old friends again, but this time to testify, to tell her story. "I was lost," she said. "I was literally dying on that road. But God didn't give up on me. He sent someone. He saved me. And not only did he pull me out of the car, he gave me a new life, a life with meaning." And Ethan, always by her side, smiled, because he knew that God had used him, not because he was special, not because he was perfect, but because he was willing to listen, to obey, to follow that inner voice that said, "Go down the old road." 5 years after the accident, Jenna and Ethan had their first child, a boy. They named him Gabriel, which means, "God is my strength," because that's exactly what he represented, living proof that God transforms stories, that he takes the broken pieces and builds something new, something beautiful, something eternal. And every time Jenna looked at her son, her husband, the life she had now, she remembered the prayer she had said on that dark road. "God, please don't let me die here." He didn't leave her. He saved her. But he did more than that. He gave her a new life, a life full of love, faith, and purpose, a life alongside the man God used to rescue her, not just from the wrecked car, but from everything that held her captive. And that, for Jenna, was the greatest miracle of all. Not that she had survived, but that she had started over, and that this new beginning had the name of God written in every chapter. Because in the end, Jenna and Ethan's story wasn't about an accident. It wasn't about a dark road. It was about a God who never gives up, who listens to the most desperate prayers, who puts the right people in the right places at the right time. And that transforms tragic endings into miraculous beginnings. And if you ask Jenna today what she learned from all this, she'll tell you, "I learned that God doesn't promise that life will be easy, but he promises that he will be with us. And that no matter how lost you are, he always has a way back. There's always a new beginning. There's always hope." And that, my friend, is the most beautiful truth there is. Jenna's life could have ended on that cold, dark road. But God had other plans. He not only saved her from death, he gave her purpose, true love, and a faith that now sustains her every day. Because God doesn't only appear in spectacular miracles, he appears in the right people, at the exact moments, in the second chances we don't even think we deserve. If this story touched you, leave a like, comment what you thought, and subscribe to keep hearing stories like this. Because everyone deserves to know that, no matter how lost you are, God always has a way back, always. I'll leave another similar video that you'll also like. I'll see you there.